Kenneth Davis, a 36-year-old single professional, resides in a bustling city, having left his rural corn farming upbringing behind. Though he has experienced dating in the past, his inherent shyness has hindered his ability to take decisive action. Consumed by his full-time role in the product department at a major supermarket's headquarters, he finds little opportunity to meet new people, as his time is predominantly divided between work and home. The nostalgia of his childhood days, when he would assist his family during the harvest season, has since faded as the responsibilities of adulthood took precedence. Despite the abundance of small convenience and candy stores in the area, they remain just out of reach, limiting his access to everyday necessities. Growing up, I yearned to escape the confines of the countryside and venture into the bustling city life I had seen depicted in TV shows. During my high school years, this desire only intensified, and I became increasingly drawn to the allure of the city, especially after visiting New York with my friends. Quietly, I dedicated myself to my studies, harboring a secret plan to attend a university in New York after graduation. When the time came to make a decision about my future, I mustered the courage to share my ambition with my parents. I expressed my intention to take the entrance exam for a New York university, acknowledging that this would mean leaving home. I politely requested their financial support for tuition and initial living expenses, as I planned to supplement this with part-time work. However, my father reacted with vehement disapproval, exclaiming, "A university in New York? You're planning to leave home, but you're the eldest son of this household." Inheriting the family legacy can be a heavy burden to bear. While I suspected he might be displeased, I secretly wished he would embrace this opportunity. I'm afraid I cannot endorse this plan. Pursuing higher education in the city seems an unlikely path for the son of a farmer. The sensible choice would be to carry on the family tradition. I couldn't help but respond firmly to my father, who was quite dismissive. "I understand you grew up as the eldest son of a farmer, but I have my own path to follow. Shouldn't I be the one to decide my future? After all, you must see how much effort I've put into my studies." However, my father cut me off, saying, "Enough. I won't approve of this. Calm down and go to your room." I didn't engage with my father further, but my mother listened to my concerns. She had hoped I would take over the family business, but ultimately said, "Kenneth, you're a bright young man. Go and pursue your dreams at university." With her support, I took and passed the entrance exam on the first try. On the day I left for New York, my father had already gone to work, and I didn't get to see him. Still, my kind mother said, "Don't worry about your father. Take care and go," as she saw me off. I had long dreamed of this opportunity. To avoid overburdening my parents, I worked part-time to cover my living expenses. Nonetheless, I remained dedicated to my college studies. During my academic pursuits, I developed a keen interest in the retail industry. Upon graduating, I secured a position at a large supermarket. Initially, I had expected to be assigned to my preferred department immediately after completing the new employee training. However, it became clear that I needed to gain on-site experience first, as the department I aspired to was located at the company's headquarters. This meant starting in the store, where I was tasked with a variety of responsibilities, from serving customers at the cash register to restocking merchandise and assisting the merchandise manager. In my second year, I was entrusted with overseeing the general merchandise department, where I handled the creation of the sales floor, sales, ordering, and other related duties. Subsequently, I was given the opportunity to gain experience in various other departments, such as the food and confectionery sections, by transferring to different store locations. After a decade with the company, amidst retirements and generational changes, I was promoted to the product department at the headquarters, finally realizing my desired departmental transfer. In the product department at the headquarters, I accumulated valuable experience working alongside buyers. For about 2 months, I assisted various buyers before being officially appointed to oversee the confectionery department. My responsibilities were diverse, ranging from liaising with manufacturers, designing seasonal sales floor layouts, selecting products for special or daily promotions, to setting prices and supporting store staffing. The workload was substantial, demanding my full attention on a daily basis. While assisting the buyer, I was constantly learning, and my collaborative efforts with the buyer contributed to the smooth progression of my work. However, 6 months ago, a personnel change occurred among the buyers, and my direct supervisor was replaced. The new buyer was Amelia, a seasoned professional in charge of the food department. Although I had perceived her as a strict individual when interacting with her as a general worker at the headquarters, in her role as my direct superior, she proved to be even more stringent, communicating in a blunt and unforgiving manner. The role of the buyer was undoubtedly demanding, as it encompassed a majority of the store's sales area. Although the headquarters appeared to employ predominantly male staff, this female buyer had proven her mettle through diligent effort. It takes considerable fortitude to keep up with the responsibilities of this position. I believe I possess strong interpersonal skills, though I hesitate to boast. Regrettably, my colleague seems to take issue with my gentle demeanor and personality. What was the nature of that earlier phone conversation? Conveying the message and moving on would have been the prudent approach, yet I still have tasks to attend to. This is why I find the attitudes of country folk so vexing. Upon learning of my rural upbringing, she wasted no time in labeling me a country bumpkin, perhaps assuming that those from the countryside are intellectually inferior. I have never before been reprimanded for the pace of my work, but now I am subjected to the exasperated question, "Are you still doing that?" The other buyers, observing the situation, offered words of encouragement, urging me to focus on my duties and not worry excessively. While there were undoubtedly challenges, I pressed forward without dwelling on them. One day, we were scheduled to negotiate with a confectionery manufacturer, and I was set to accompany Amelia, the buyer, on this endeavor. In the discussion chambers, the bargaining process commenced. Both parties engaged in a deliberate exchange, carefully weighing their options and interests to reach a mutually agreeable resolution. The atmosphere was marked by a delicate balance of assertiveness and compromise, as each side strived to secure the best possible outcome for their respective stakeholders. "Kenneth, please get the documents." As Amelia, the buyer, had instructed, I was retrieving the papers from my bag. Suddenly, I stumbled, causing the documents to scatter across the floor. "Oops, my apologies." I hurriedly gathered the materials, but Amelia shouted, "What's the meaning of this?" in her usual loud manner. Although we were at the manufacturer's office, she did not assist me in collecting the papers. Instead, she apologized to the person in charge, sighing and stating, "I'm sorry about this. He's just a country boy, so he's a bit clumsy. Haven't you met Kenneth before? Was he always this awkward?" I had been assigned to work with him. Though more than a decade had passed since he left his rural hometown, the scent of the countryside still clings to a person raised deep in the mountains. After all, it's generally better for city dwellers to collaborate with their urban counterparts, isn't it? As I organized the materials, Amelia was relaying these sentiments to the person in charge. I had created an uncomfortable atmosphere, but the negotiations that day went well, and we returned to the headquarters. Here is a paraphrased version of the given text, maintaining the same length. The transaction had to be stopped abruptly. Amelia was also caught off guard by the unexpected development. Apparently, the issue stemmed from an incident during the previous day's negotiations. I was informed that the manufacturer's president had witnessed and overheard the conversation when I was organizing the scattered documents. Now that I think about it, one of the manufacturer's representatives had left their seat to fetch a laptop during that time. The negotiation room's door was open then. This is why Amelia's sarcastic comments seemed to have spilled out beyond the confines of the room. After that negotiation, the 3 representatives were summoned to the president's office, where he openly expressed his anger, questioning the buyer's behavior. He found it outrageous to mock someone simply because they hailed from the countryside. The reason was that the president's family home was a farm, and he often referred to it as the candy, due to the Material Manufacturers Association. Given the president's own rural background, his outrage was understandable. After the incident, our president apologized, but the other company's leader dismissed it, declaring, "If you want to work with us in the city, so be it. We're done cooperating with you." Despite our best efforts to convey our sincere remorse, the business partnership was reduced to 1/3 of its previous volume. This was a significant setback, as the manufacturer had been a long-standing supplier and occupied a substantial portion of our sales floor. Amelia, the employee deemed responsible, frantically reached out to other confectionery companies, negotiating to increase transactions and rushing to fill the gap in the store's inventory. I had to take on additional tasks to support her efforts. Amelia, clearly distressed by the situation, lashed out at me, saying, "I had a terrible experience because of you. Be prepared when this is resolved." However, our president and other colleagues placed the blame on Amelia, not me. The daily discomfort in my stomach was a familiar struggle, yet I soldiered on. Suddenly, a debilitating bout of dizziness struck, leaving me reeling and helpless in the office hallway. My vision swirled, rendering me unable to stand or move. Sensing my distress, a colleague promptly summoned medical assistance as I grew increasingly pale and sickly. The subsequent examination revealed Meniere's disease, requiring a day's hospitalization and intravenous treatment. Although I was able to return home with prescribed medication, the doctor attributed my condition to excessive stress, emphasizing the importance of adequate rest and recovery. Seeing my downcast face, the doctor seemed to sense something, wrote me a note, and kindly urged me, "You can take time off with this. Please rest well." So I decided to take a month off work. I was experiencing severe dizziness and felt unsteady even when going to the bathroom. I realized that living alone would be tough, so I called my mother for the first time in several months. Then I was told that my younger brother Tom would come to pick me up. I decided to stay at my parents' home. On the way home in the car, I said, "I'm sorry for making you come get me." This was the first thing that came to my mouth, something I felt I had to say. I had said the same thing when he came to get my luggage. In response, Tom said, "Well, if you can sleep, just sleep. I'll wake you up when we get home." It seemed like he was letting me know that I didn't have to force a conversation. When we arrived at my parents' home in Nebraska, my mother was waiting at the entrance, looking worried. "Welcome home. I've laid out the bed for you. Just rest." She gently stroked my staggering back and accompanied me to the room with Tom. While preparing to lie down in the room, my father came in, looking a bit restless. "Take your time. Don't worry about just a month. Make sure to get well before you go back." Despite his blunt words, I could tell from his expression that he was very concerned. "Sorry and thank you." My parents nodded, and my mother said, "We'll take care of your brother. I'll go prepare dinner," and they both headed to the living room. Tom helped me change clothes and packed my bags, working silently while the room filled with a quiet tension. Tom had come to pick me up with just one phone call, but like my father, I hadn't been in touch with him since I moved to New York. My mother called me every few months or so, and we would talk and hear about what was going on. But I had left home against my father's wishes after arguing with him about taking over the family business. I had put Tom in the situation, so I think that's why I felt guilty. Lying on the bed and looking up at my younger brother, I finally found my voice. "I'm sorry, Tom. It's too late, but I did something terrible to you, and I'm ashamed to be coming back like this." These were the words I'd wanted to say so many times, even trying to say them in the car. Then Tom became slightly amused and chuckled. "Ha ha. What are you talking about? You mean when you left home?" Sure, I also had pressure to take over from Dad when it came to choosing my path, but thanks to your precedent, I was allowed to go to culinary school. Well, I did end up taking over the firm, but you know I'm running a small pastry cafe as well. I'm doing what I love, so I don't think anything of it. That's what he said. With tears in my eyes, I said, "Really?" Then Tom, smiling shyly, said, "Anyway, just rest. I'll bring you something to drink. Just wait." Indulging in my family's kindness, I rested slowly. 3 weeks later, the dizziness had subsided, and I had enough energy to stroll around the house. I used to play in this little creek all the time when I was a kid, listening to the babbling of the river. I took a deep breath and absorbed nature into my body. The city is nice, but it doesn't compare to nature. I had even started to feel relaxed enough to say that in my adolescence, I found the countryside boring. But after experiencing life in the city, everything looked fresh, and I realized how wonderful an environment I had grown up in. There were so many realizations. Thinking it was about time to head home, I noticed a woman standing alone on the road. That's unusual, hiking alone. I was still at a distance from her, but watching her, I noticed she was slightly dragging her foot. "Are you okay? Did you hurt your foot?" I caught up with the woman and called out to her. "Oh, actually, the sole of my shoe came loose," she said with a distressed expression. It seemed she had been walking with her shoe flapping for quite a while, planning to catch a bus to her destination, but with only one bus every 2 hours, she had no choice but to continue walking like that. In doing so, she ended up with a blister. Then the woman showed me a pamphlet and said, "I was trying to get to this place called the Forest Cafe, but my feet were already hurting." I wanted to give up and go home, but my phone ran out of charge and I couldn't call anyone. The place she was aiming for was Tom's Cafe. "This is my family's place. Shall we go together?" Though it was just a blister, she was injured, so I carried her on my back to my family's home. Both my mom and brother Tom were surprised at what had happened, but seemed relieved to hear she was a guest. We took care of her injury and gave her some tea and cookies. "Delicious, and thank you for cleaning my wound." "I apologized for the piggyback ride earlier," she said. She was either smiling because of the delicious taste or blushing with embarrassment from the piggyback ride. Her cheeks flushed as she giggled. Honestly, I was the one who felt embarrassed. I hadn't noticed when I first spoke to her, as she was wearing her hat low, but she was quite a beauty, which made me a bit giddy. Both my mom and my brother Tom were happily talking to her. Her name was Mia, and it seems she works in New York just like me. She goes hiking or visits spas in the countryside a few times a year to refresh. Oh, it's already dusk. It gets dark quickly around here. "You're welcome to stay tonight if you'd like," Mom offered. Though Mia hesitated, she sensed my mom's genuine concern and decided to stay. After dinner, as I was the last to get out of the bath, I found Mia still watching TV in the living room. "Would you like to have a drink together?" So we drank together. It had been a while since I drank with someone, and this was the first time with someone as beautiful as her. Maybe I drank too fast, but I got quite drunk. Before I knew it, I was babbling about not having a wife or even a girlfriend at this age, why I was resting at my family's place, and complaining about Amelia. Then Mia said, "As a thank you for helping me, I'll give you something special when we return to New York. Please look forward to it." She said this with a mischievous expression on her cute face. I must admit that it made my heart skip a beat, but that's between us. The night wore on, and we each went to sleep in our rooms. When I woke up the next morning, it was almost noon. I had slept deeply because of the heavy drinking. Mia had left early in the morning, thanking my parents before returning to New York. That was fun, I thought. I couldn't get her out of my mind for a while. Then 3 days passed, and just as I was feeling down about returning to work, I got a call on my phone from the department manager. When I answered, he seemed flustered. "Did you do something while you were off?" "Anyway, come to work as soon as you can," the department manager said before hanging up. Reluctantly, I took the night flight back to New York and arrived at the office around noon the next day. As instructed, I was surprised by the warm welcome. But the reason was that the manufacturer we had reduced our dealings with had contacted us to continue trading as before. However, the condition was that I handle it. My mind was still in rest mode. I couldn't catch up. Anyway, the next day, I was to visit the manufacturer. "Excuse me," as I opened the door to the meeting room, the woman in the center immediately said, "Kenneth, hello. I'm the vice president." "Davis? No way." I couldn't help but shout. The woman was Mia, whom I had met at my family's home, and she was apparently the president's daughter of this manufacturer. I hadn't noticed since I had only heard her first name at that time. Usually, she doesn't participate in negotiations, but she would this time. Even the department manager accompanying me was astounded. The negotiation began in a friendly atmosphere. Not only was it about reviving the cut product, but also the delivery of a large quantity of new products. "Remember when I said I'd give you something special? These new suites are what I've been working on." Mia happily showed me the new products, but it was too soon to be surprised or delighted. They proposed to prioritize the delivery of the new product and stock it heavily on the shelves, aiming for a further increase in sales. Our company has become the first to sell it more than any other store, and that new product was heavily stocked with the launch of the new commercial. If you go to that store, you can buy it. The information spread instantly through customers' social media posts. In fact, popular celebrities appeared in commercials for this new product, with limited edition merchandise included with the candy. There was a huge rush of customers to our stores as a result. Confectionery department sales were at an all-time high. I was thanked not only by the product manager, but directly by the CEO. After that, it was decided that this achievement should be properly evaluated, and I was promoted to a confectionery buyer. As for Amelia, she was, needless to say, demoted. She was transferred to another department and started working as an assistant. Since then, this was the trigger for building a good relationship with Mia's company as a client. "I'm thinking of visiting your family again. Why don't you come with me and show your family how you're doing?" I had no reason to refuse her invitation like that. And now, Mia and I are going back to my hometown. How did you like it? Subscribing to our channel will motivate us to produce more content. See you in the next video. "You're so gloomy, we don't need you," my employer, a very ignorant woman who had no interest in learning, said, demeaning me. Her smug expression made me sigh. I answered, "Well then, I quit," and walked out of the business. I saw that awful woman once more months later. "Did you ever find a company that would pick up a useless person like you?" Her expression was taunting me. "Yes," I said. Incidentally, your major client, she was DMF, to support what I had said. But her face went white as she realized. "John Smith is my name. I work for a food and beverage firm as a salesperson. Sales are over 40 years old, yet it's kind of odd. Although I work in sales, I don't go out and visit customers. I simply sit at a desk by the window and work on the computer." "Good morning, John," this person said to me. "David, good morning. After work today, John, we're heading out for drinks. Do you want to come along? Thank you for the invite. I'm sorry. I have other plans." Got it. I spent most of my time in front of the computer and rarely spoke to other staff members. Part of the reason I didn't fit in with their chats was that everyone else was younger. John always dresses so neatly. Yes, his shirts are always crisp and his outfits are always ironed to perfection. He also has a pleasant scent. Perhaps it's fabric softener instead of perfume. What kind of fabric softener does he use? I've seen him look at me and talk a few times, but I've never asked them what they were discussing. I simply continued working. Time to clock out already. Good work today. Yes, today's work was good. We always know when it's time to depart since John always leaves on time. He serves as a sort of alarm clock for us. Every day, I left work on time. Sometimes I went directly home after work, while other times I had someplace to go. If you like, would you join our company? Yes, thank you. I'd love to. About 3 years ago, I started working for this company. I had previously worked for another beverage company, but I was asked to join this one. I'd initially worked for a number of beverage-related companies, seldom staying for very long at one. John, how have things been since then? All right. No big problems. As of right now, everything is going well. I'm glad to hear that. Our expectations for your job are very high. Thank you. An executive from the company had come up to me. He contacted me after learning about me. It appears that this business also frequently engages with the outside world. Well, John, do you have a moment? Sure, I'm available. I wanted to ask you about sales strategies. If it's something I know, I'll send you the information you need. Thank you. I'll email you later. I'd like to learn more about Company D and some other things. Understood, John. You're as usual. Yeah. Well, Thomas approached me as the younger colleagues were talking to me. Thomas Miller is the only colleague of my age in sales and the person who brought me to this company. That's right. Thanks for the help with that matter. I'll be counting on you again. Got it. Also, the client wants to go out for drinks next time. Understood. We have known each other before joining this company and can communicate with minimal conversation. As the sole senior employee, he takes care of various things. Thomas, being attentive and single, is quite popular. Let's keep up the good work for today, a peaceful sales department without any particular troubles. Nice to meet you. I am Carol Brown, and I will be joining as the department head from today. Then, she was transferred here. Carol came from a larger affiliated company. It seems she comes from a bigger company than ours. Is that so? A matter of power, maybe. Who knows? Well, she's our boss now, so hopefully, we can work well together. I sighed internally while looking at Carol. She appeared quite flashy, wearing bright red clothes that didn't seem suitable for work. Her makeup was thick, and a strong perfume scent wafted to my desk. Listen to what I say. I am in a higher position than you. Her attitude was confident and assertive. Honestly, the thought of her being the boss made me worried. Hey, who did this document? Yes, that was me. Redo this document, and the client you're handling will now be my responsibility. Well, am I changing this now? And what's the issue with this document? Figure it out yourself. Look here. It's easier to read this way. But at our company, we usually just do as I say. She insisted on everyone in the sales department following her lead because she came from a large corporation. She's really the worst. She's all friendly with the young men and Thomas, but she's tough on us women. I'm just trying to avoid getting on her target. It's tough, but let's support each other and get through this. Everyone was reluctantly obeying to avoid unnecessary trouble. Sigh. What's wrong? It's about Carol, our manager. On a rare day off, Thomas invited me for drinks. Then he let out a sigh as if he was in real trouble. Carol has been really on my case lately. Every day, she's asking me out. I see. I get it. It seems she often invited him out. She asked him to go out for a drink or a meal. Thomas looks young, so Carol doesn't seem to mind the age gap. He's not good with romantic relationships and has his own reasons for being single, so being pursued like this was a significant burden for him. When I talk to female colleagues, Carol gets scolded at them. That's troublesome. Exactly. It appeared Thomas was also struggling with Carol's presence. Thomas sighed wearily. The upper management isn't reliable either. Yeah, I tried consulting them once, and they were just so-so about it. It's problematic for me. The whole atmosphere of the sales department has changed. Who knows what will happen next? Just as expected, the sales department's atmosphere changed from peaceful to tense. Everyone was trying not to get on Carol's target. Hey, you? Yes? Don't just stick to your PC. Go out and work. I am working. Though I told you to go outside to visit your clients, since I'd been here, I haven't seen you go out even once. And yet, you're always dressed up. That's when I got targeted by Carol. She glanced at my PC, apparently not understanding what I was doing. You're not doing any work, are you? I am doing my job, I replied. She thought I was slacking off. Besides, you hardly talk to anyone in the office. You only say hello to your colleagues. Everyone is busy. I avoided disturbing the busy sales colleagues, communicating through email and chat instead. That's how I also heard about her rumors and complaints. Really? You're so gloomy. Is that so? You're in sales but glued to your PC, not going out for field work, not interacting with other staff, dressing up in mismatched clothes, and you always leave on time. Are you taking your job lightly? Carol seemed to really dislike me, constantly picking on me and making snide remarks. John, are you okay? Carol was giving you a hard time today, right? I'm fine, I replied. She's focused on you right now, so it's been easier for us. Let us know if you need anything. We're here to help you. Thank you, everyone, I said. The sales staff noted this and showed their concern. They often intervened, saying things like, "There's work to do," or "A customer is here," to pull her away. Aside from Carol, I had good relationships with others. What's with that manager? She complains about Jan leaving on time, but she leaves early too. It's true, I saw her at a bar the other day. Me too, she was drinking a lot. How much does she pay for drinks? Apparently, she was drinking with business partners, and it's being paid for with company expenses. Well, really. More and more, the talk about her wasn't about her work skills, but rather unpleasant rumors. Are you okay? I'm fine, and if her bothering me gives you a chance to work, then it's okay. I'm really sorry. If something happens, I'll help out. You know what's up. You've been through a lot of job changes, haven't you? If you ever move on, could you let me know? I've got it. I nodded. Thomas said, "Thank you," and left. Unlike me, Thomas had always been the type to stay in one place, but it seemed this situation had made him think. A few months after Carol's arrival, trouble happened. Sales department expenses had increased, leading to orders for cost cutting. Why have the expenses gone up? Now we're told to cut costs. It's ridiculous, Carol complained. But the rise in expenses was her fault. Her excessive views of entertainment expenses were causing the increase. Everyone knew she was frequently out drinking. I don't want to cut back on entertainment expenses. If they cut, I won't be able to drink enough. It's your fault, John. Why me? You're not working. Having you here is a waste of expenses and salary. You're stealing company money. I was being unfairly accused. I was just doing the job I was assigned. She didn't understand it, but I believed my work was important. To cut costs, I'll start by cutting you. What a mess. You're so gloomy. We don't need you. Pack up your things and get out of the company. Is that an order from the boss? Yes, you're fired, she said with a smirk. I just sighed. Then I quit. Don't ever come back to this office. Eliminating an incompetent employee will save us money. Without much resistance, I packed my things and left the company. Are you really quitting? Why so suddenly? Carol said I was fired. Carol? Well, if she said so, maybe there's no other way. Even the executives couldn't stop Carol's rampage, given her connections to a larger company. It seemed inevitable. Even the executives can't argue with her. That day, I resigned and left the company. John, please come back to our company. We need you here. We'll talk to the manager. When I checked my phone, there were numerous messages, all essentially begging me to come back. But I had been fired, and there was nothing I could do about it. If you're not here, I don't know how to proceed with our business strategy, a female colleague said cheerfully over the phone. I'd appreciate everyone's words, but I've been let go. Don't say that. As much as I felt for my trusting colleagues, I already had my sights set on another company, so I kept my decision and said goodbye to my colleagues. Well then, John, are you okay? Jess, actually, I was about to contact you. After reaching out to a certain company, I immediately got a call from Thomas. He had been out on sales visits and was unaware of the recent events. I heard from everyone. Are you really quitting, Jay? That's right. Do you have a next company lined up? Yes, fortunately. John, we've known each other since the previous job, but I have a favor to ask. I know. I've already talked about you. Thomas, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. A few months after leaving that company, it was about time. I was at a high-end restaurant for a business meeting. Honestly, the person I was meeting today was a bit complicated for me. And as I waited at the entrance, wait, see. Long time no see. Carol Brown appeared. See me, Carol. She smirked. Oh, look, it's the gloomy window seat guy. She spoke in a condescending tone, still smirking. What are you doing here? Surely not eating, right? You couldn't possibly afford a meal here, could you? She mocked further. Did you ever find a company that would pick up a useless person like you? She continued to belittle me, obviously unaware of my situation. Well, actually, it can't be anything important, right? I tried to explain, but Carol wouldn't listen, continuing with her mocking laughter. She ran it on. What would a useless non-worker like you want at such a high-end restaurant? Are you part of the cleaning staff? It's just like you trying to look cool. It doesn't suit you at all. I'm not part of the cleaning staff. I'm here for work today. Work, huh? That's a word for people who actually work hard, like me, not for incompetents like you. Today, I came here as a sales manager for a business meeting, not like you, who just sits at a computer. She was really talking a lot. Hey, sorry I'm late, I said as I grew tired of her endless chatter. I was approached. I've been waiting for you, Director Robert. It was Robert, the director from the major restaurant chain, Bloom Dining. As I shook hands with Robert, Carol suddenly bowed her head. Director Robert, thank you very much for your precious time today. Seeing that it was Director Robert, Carol quickly started to butter him up, showing just how important the business meeting was to her company. Hi, Carol, looking forward to working together. But really, if both of you had arrived earlier, you could have waited inside, Robert said to me with a friendly smile. What? John is involved in this business. Carol looked bewildered. No way, such a gloomy guy, she muttered under her breath, clearly flustered. Shall we go inside then? Yes, yes, I replied. Prompted by Robert, we proceeded into the restaurant. We were then guided to a private room. What's going on here? Carol asked. You don't have to rush. You'll understand soon, I whispered back to Carol, making sure Robert didn't hear. Once inside the private room and after the attendant had left, I prepared my business card. It was time to clarify the earlier question. Here is my business card. What? Really? Carol's eyes widened as she looked at the card. It says John Murphy, head of Bloom Food Research Department. You asked earlier if there was a place that would pick me up. Well, I was picked up by your major client, I said with a smile. Carol's face turned increasingly pale. After leaving that company, I had contacted Robert. I had been acquainted with Robert for a while and had previously received an invitation from him. I'm glad you joined us, John. Thank you. I look forward to working with you. The pleasure is ours. We're grateful to have someone of your reputed talents join us. We'll be counting on you. Yes, I will do my best for the company. Thus, I joined Bloom Dining and took on the responsibilities entrusted to me. Just like at the previous company, my work was recognized, leading to a smooth promotion to my current position as the head of the department. Is that really possible? Carol asked. Is something the matter? No, it's nothing. Carol shook her head with a pale face. She couldn't believe that I, whom she had deemed incompetent and fired, had become the head of department in a major corporation. It can't be right. You were the incompetent, gloomy one. Carol was dumbfounded. What am I supposed to do now? The reality that her business negotiation partner was someone she had ridiculed and treated poorly, and the fact that her company was in a weaker position, seemed to overwhelm her. It was a complete reversal of our previous situation when she had fired me. Now it was time to see her skills in business. Well, how are things going regarding this matter? Carol seemed unable to deliver her usual eloquent sales pitch, glancing at me frequently, still shocked by the earlier revelation. Eventually, she left the meeting in disarray. Did you know Carol? She seemed quite concerned about you. Robert asked after we saw her off. Actually, she's the one who fired me from my previous job, calling me a gloomy incompetent, I said. I then shared the whole story of my previous job with Robert. What a rude person she is. Robert was indignant, as if it was a personal affront. Regarding this deal, I don't want to deal with such a disrespectful person in the future. Let's get someone else to handle it. Yes, let's proceed with the negotiations once the representative is changed. All right, I'll make sure to communicate that. Robert and I decided to request a change of representative from the previous company. Given our company's stronger position, it was likely that Carol would face some repercussions. John, you've got to hear this. Later on, a former colleague filled me in about Carol at her company. The executives confronted her, saying, "What do you mean by changing the person in charge?" As a manager, it turns out the sales staff who had been enduring her tyranny reported her past misdeeds to the executives, including the incident where she fired me. They told her, "We have refrained from reprimanding you because you're on such good terms with an affiliate company. But this time, we will have to report back to your parent company." The look on Carol's face was ashen. Is that so? Thanks for letting me know. Not at all. I owe you, John. The former colleague was smiling, relieved at the turn of events. Sometime later, I got a call from the executives of my former company. John, would you consider coming back to us? They asked. They were reconsidering my employment. Apparently, the work I did in the sales department was reevaluated after I left. There was a noticeable decline in the department's performance, prompting an investigation. I had been researching long-term business strategies for clients, staying up to date with recent trends, and explaining these in a comprehensible manner to the sales team. I also advised on sales strategies, which was why I was always at my PC. Besides, I was checking the financial status of every single one of our business partners, and I controlled the accounts receivable to make sure they didn't become bad debts. After hours, I would meet with representatives from current and potential clients to gather information over drinks. I was uncovering hidden needs in other companies and providing feedback to the sales team. That's why I dressed well after work, and it made the transition into major corporations easier. You really did significant work. You're an elite being headhunted from everywhere, aren't you? Not really, but I do get to see various companies thanks to that. How about this? We can offer you more than double your previous salary. Double my previous salary? That would be a substantial amount, but I'm sorry. I can't trust a company that tolerated her behavior to such an extent. I'm happy with my current job. With that, I ignored their plea to reconsider and declined the offer to return. I heard about our manager coming for a negotiation for us. Robert is our director now. Oh my. My apologies. Thomas was the first to approach me with this news. When I was fired, Thomas decided to switch to Bloom Dining and join the sales team after me. He had been with the previous company for many years, but had enough of dealing with Carol. He thought about moving to another company like I did, if it meant the company's image was preserved over justice. Then I got fired, and that became the trigger for him to join Bloom Dining. Interestingly, Robert, upon hearing from me, was ready to hire Thomas on the spot. But the earnest Thomas went through a formal interview to join our team. Originally a talented salesman, Thomas now excels at Bloom Dining too. John, please listen well. Calm down, Zoe. A female employee from my former department contacted me, the one who cried when she learned I had left. She still seems to admire me. I've been assigned the research tasks you used to handle. Can you teach me? Really taking over the tasks of a company I left is, please, I really want to improve our sales. Despite my hesitation, I was moved by Zoe's earnestness and decided to teach her. So, this is how I see it. That's how it works. Our relationship resembled that of a teacher and student due to the age difference. We're really like teacher and student. Yes, it would be something like this if I had a student. Thank you, Professor. Teach me to, Professor. Please don't call me that, Luke. When we met occasionally for lessons, another former colleague, Luke, wanted to join, eager to learn my sales techniques. I thought, with these two guys, the company will be okay. I was relieved to see them positively trying to learn, just like I did in the past. They could form a great team reminiscent of Thomas and me in the past. Carol ended up returning to her original company as a regular employee. However, her lavish lifestyle and fondness for drinking couldn't be sustained on her regular salary, leading her to secretly work at nightclubs. Yet moonlighting was prohibited by her company, and once discovered, she was fired. Now struggling to attract clients due to her haughty nature, she isn't earning much, a sort of poetic justice in a way. It's cause and effect. I saw her looking ragged downtown recently. Well, she caused a lot of trouble for others, so now it's her turn to struggle. That's right. Carol, who had fired me, now faced her own set of hardships. She would not have thought of it then. She once contacted me using the business card I had given her. Well, could you hire me at Bloom Dining? That's impossible. At least contact Thomas. She contacted me too many times and was noisy, so I pushed her response to Thomas. I'm sorry, but I'm not even interested in people like you. And clearly, I hate you. Please don't contact me or my benefactor in the future. To be honest, I don't want to hear your voice again. Thomas clearly refused. She apparently tried to contact Thomas after that, but Thomas himself contacted his lawyer. She was placed on a restraining order, so she could no longer approach him. Being popular can be troublesome. I never wanted this popularity. Thomas and I had worked together at one of the companies during my job-hopping days. He had been engaged, but remained single after his fiancée died in a car accident. Since then, he understood the nature of my work and began relying on me. Now he's thriving as a skilled senior in sales. Meanwhile, I'm grateful to be able to utilize my skills at Bloom Dining, conducting research with a more generous budget than before in my previous company. Thanks to my efforts, Bloom Dining's default rate dramatically decreased, and we were able to grasp our client needs in more detail, leading to increased contract rates. It was definitely the right decision to headhunt you. You made a significant difference. I'm glad to be of service to the company. Everyone praised you. They said contracts became much easier to secure because you identified the needs so precisely. That's good to hear. I just did what I could. I'm really glad you joined our company. Meanwhile, back at my former company, I heard that Zoe had taken over my research tasks and was doing splendidly. As Luke informed me, her research skills are second only to yours. John, is that so? She did absorb everything quickly when I taught her. I can't be outdone by her. Luke chuckled, seemingly energized by the competition. It appears that they have become good motivators for each other, and their research efforts help stabilize the sales department. Zoe is a disciple of John's. Her methods are just like yours. And you, Thomas, you've been teaching Luke, right? That's true. While I was teaching Zoe, Thomas also provided advice to Luke whenever possible. Looks like it's time for a generational shift. Maybe, but since we're at different companies, we'll remain rivals for a while longer. Indeed. Can afford to lose flashy jobs are easily recognized from the outside, But the unseen supportive roles are vital for an organization's growth. While some in sales secure numerous contracts, it's the administrative staff behind the scenes providing support. Cleaners keep the office and common areas tidy, contributing to the overall function. An organization can grow because it has employees fulfilling various roles. It's often unclear who is doing what and how they contribute to the work. However, it's important to approach each role without prejudice and strive to understand the contribution of each member. Especially those in leadership positions should never forget this.